Good evening, and welcome to the April 7th, 2021 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board. I'll welcome everyone that is either in the waiting room or soon to be on with the board. This evening we do have 4 public hearings scheduled and a number of other items of business. In the auditorium, myself, Town Supervisor Tony LaFountain, Town Clerk Amy Steckloff, Jim Costello, our Development Services Director. We have all the board members online zooming in, and I'm going to ask for those members in the auditorium to please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask that we please remain standing just for a moment. A week ago, we lost a member of this community who was very involved with this community, John Walter Hanratty. I had the honor and privilege of knowing John for many years and worked with him at Kodak. John was a family man. He was service above self within the Penfield, Perrington, Kiwanis. He did a lot of things to help a lot of people, especially our young people, not only in this community, but in communities around the Rochester area. And for those that knew him, John was a delight to be around, high energy, did some terrific things for this community. And on behalf of the entire community, we want to say our thoughts and prayers to his wife, Roseanne, and their family. And if I could just have a moment of silence for Mr. Hanratty. Thank you. I'll ask our clerk to please call the official roll.
Draw.
Here.
Cole.
Here. Here.
Here.
Fountain. Moore.
Here.
Ockenden.
Here.
Okay, I will read the official notice. Due to the COVID-19 virus and the closing of town operations, consistent with the governor's executive orders, the April 7, 2021 Town Board legislative meeting will be held remotely via Zoom. This meeting will also be video recorded and broadcast live via the town's website. That's at penfield.org, on the town's government access cable channel 1303, and on streaming media device. That includes Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Please search Penfield TV in your device's app store. This is a free app. The meeting will later be transcribed. Questions regarding video coverage this evening, please contact Penfield TV at 340-8661. If you would like to address the board on any matter, there are 2 public participation opportunities, one at the beginning of the agenda and one at the end. If you'd like to participate, you may do that one of 2 ways. You may dial in at 340-8771 or electronically by submission at penfield.org. And if you log on to penfield.org and you're fortunate enough to be on a server that has since changed from our former website to our new website, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and pleased with the work that has gone into that. And I'll thank our website team led by Dave Renner and his team for the work that they put in on that. In the midst of a pandemic, we've got that up and running, and hopefully you enjoy it. A lot easier to maneuver through, a lot of great information, and as always, if there's any questions, feel free to contact us. This evening we do have 4 public hearings. Before we get into those public hearings, I'm going to recognize Councilperson Linda Cole. She has a proclamation that I would ask her to read, and this is an annual event and something we're very pleased to do.
Okay. Happy National Library Week. Normally, I'm a longtime liaison to the Penfield Library Board, and I will read this to our library director, Bunny Rickman, in person in the town hall. But as we're still going through the pandemic, as far as meeting goes, I shall read the proclamation and hope that she sees us here somewhere on Zoom. And so National Library Week is April 4th through the 10th, 2021. Welcome to your library is the tagline. So the proclamation reads, whereas libraries of all types are the heart of their cities, towns, schools, campuses, serving their communities, whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of belonging and community. Whereas today's libraries and their services extend far beyond the four walls of a building, and everyone is welcome to use their resources. Whereas for people lacking broadband at home, libraries provide access to computers and Wi-Fi, even checking out internet hotspots and laptops. Whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all. Whereas libraries offer opportunities for everyone to explore new worlds and become their best selves through access to technology, multimedia content, and educational programs. Whereas in times of crisis, libraries, librarians, and library workers play an invaluable role in supporting their communities both in person and virtually. Whereas to adapt to our challenging world, libraries are expanding their resources and continuing to meet the needs of their patrons. Whereas libraries are the cornerstone of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted, treasured institutions for all members of the community, regardless of their race, ethnicity, creed, sexual orientation, gender identity, or social economic status. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that our Anthony LaFountain, Supervisor, Town of Penfield, proclaims National Library Week for April 4th through the 10th. During this week, I encourage all residents to visit their library online to access resources and services. Because of you, libraries transform lives and communities. This is dated April 7th and signed by our Town Supervisor, R. Anthony LaFountain. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Linda. Very good. And again, congratulations to Bernadette Bunny Brinkman and all of her team over at the Penfield Library for everything that they do. Thank you very much. Not only this week, but the other 51 weeks of each and every year. Thank you to the team over at the library. All right, we'll move into our public hearings. We'll start with public hearing number 1. I'll recognize the clerk to please read the legal.
To consider the creation of a special improvement district for Shady Rock subdivision at 1725 Scribner Road. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on March 25th, 2021, posted on town website and town clerk bulletin board. 61 postcards were mailed.
Great, thank you. I have not seen on my screen Town Attorney Dick Horowitz. I'll ask Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Horowitz. Great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. This evening, I would like to recognize our Development Services Director, Mr. James Costello, who will be giving a brief overview of this particular public hearing. Mr. Costello.
Thank you. Am I sharing at this point? I'm not sharing at this point. I apologize. Let me get to where I need to be. Still not sharing.
Okay, for those of you joining in, bear with us just a moment. Technology is a wonderful thing when everything works perfectly, and when it doesn't, we pause for a moment to make sure that we're providing all the information that we can to our residents.
All right, here we go, I think. Well, I apologize for this. I don't know why we're not sharing.
Jim, I believe you're sharing.
Okay, I can't see it on the screen that I have up here, but, all right, here we go. On April 11th, 2019, developers received approval for the development of the Shady Rock subdivision. It's a 13-lot subdivision at 1725 Scribner Road. Condition number 9 of that subdivision was required the applicant to come to the town board and ask for the development and creation of a special improvement district to accommodate the stormwater management facility that was being constructed on the site. The applicant has done so. He's petitioned the town board for this purpose. The applicant has created the stormwater management facility. The potential homes on the site, all 13 homes, those property owners will be responsible for the ongoing payment for the maintenance, which includes the mowing of the lawn, periodic inspection of the site to ensure that that functioning facility does not impact adjacent property owners. So in this case, the developer, Stephen Philippone of Redstone Development, has requested that the board form a special improvement district to help fund and support the maintenance of that pond facility.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Costello. So this a standard item that we have within subdivisions to make sure that those potential residents or ultimate residents that will be living in that area, this particular facility serves their purpose, and in turn they would be responsible versus the entire town of Penfield. And so the purpose of that is to establish this district, and once established, any associated fees will be paid by those 13 homeowners within that subdivision. I'll ask the board, any questions for Mr. Costello on this particular matter? Okay. I'm just checking real quickly, not only call-ins, but also online. I'm not seeing anything at this time, so I'm going to pause. I'm going to recognize the town clerk. She did receive a number of items as well as Mr. Costello, and she's going to just highlight those emails that have been submitted to her office.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I received a couple of emails. The first one for this application, the first one is from a Princess Fame. She writes, and she lives on Scribner. She talks about that she thought that the Shady Rock subdivision was to be built for folks 55 years and older. She feels that it has changed, that it's become, it's built for multiple families, at least 2 cars per household, adding 36 more cars to the already busy traffic on Scribner Road, more cars if these families have teenagers and young adults. Concerned about the traffic on Scribner Road with construction going on to builder's site at the Scribner Road School has made Scribner Road a busier than normal street. With this being said, the traffic on Scribner Road is such that it is hard to even pull out of my driveway. We have cars coming from north and south moving at the speed of at least 50 miles per hour, again making it difficult to cross the street. There has been on more than one occasion when I have pulled out of my driveway that the cars sped up on me, have blown their horns at me, and have gone around over the double yellow line. She believes that 99.9% of the time the light they speed up to is red. She's concerned about the new Country Mac store on Hatch Road bringing on more traffic, and that Scribner would become a road to get more traffic and more speeders. And lastly, she mentions that the neighborhood is growing. They have young families on the street, and their children need to be protected from the speeders. Many neighborhoods have signs up saying, "Drive like you live on this street." We don't want to put those signs up. We would like a speed camera installed to help with controlling the traffic. I have lived on this street for over 25 years, and having the police sit out in broad daylight does not catch the speeders. I would like this matter to be addressed for the safety of my community. The second one that I have is from a Helena Kessler. Please add our voices to the concerns on the traffic and speeds on Scribner Road. This situation has grown increasingly dangerous. Our concerns from last year have not been addressed. This situation will indeed increase as construction ramps up and the school's traffic gets more robust. Penfield Central Schools will soon move to in-person instruction in the next weeks. The huge Country Max will also have an impact. Please let your taxpayers know what your plans are, and a traffic monitor that can blast by or an officer sitting at the school are not going to curb this dangerous situation. I had written a letter that was never addressed or acknowledged regarding the flooding on my property at 1719 Scribner. I responded again and received an email the town would take a look at the situation. It has already been addressed last year, and the situation has also gotten worse. That's from Helena Kessler.
Okay.
And that's it for that public
All
hearing.
right. I will just remind everyone, the viewing audience, obviously this subdivision has gone through the approval process through the planning board. The only item that the town board is addressing tonight is the special district. Certainly concerns of speed as they come up in any area of the town. We will contact and work with the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. And if there is other traffic-related concerns, we can get that in front of the Transportation Committee. I'd also like to just remind folks that there is a Country Max store that is almost completed. It's on the corner of Hatch and Ridge Road in the town of Webster. And that's not in the town of Penfield, but in the town of Webster. So that concern is also noted. And then I would just say for Ms. Kessler, I know that our engineering department has been over to take a look at the property, and I believe they were waiting some input from yourself, if you happen to be watching, to set up a time for you and them to walk the site. And I would just encourage to reach out to Mark Valentine, Mike O'Connor, in the engineering department for that. Okay, I'll circle back again. I've got, on this particular item, no call-ins. I have nothing from an email standpoint. One last opportunity, board, for any questions on the special district for Shady Rock. All right, seeing none. Mr. Costello, is there anything that you believe should be added to the record that we haven't already talked or discussed this evening?
No.
All right, thank you. Then I'll declare this public hearing closed. Let me talk about next steps, not only for this particular public hearing, but the other ones that we have this evening. Typically, the board will hear these matters. The board will not take action the same night that they hear them. The next opportunity for the board to have a discussion on this matter or the other three matters that will be before us will be next Wednesday, the 14th of April, at a work session. Those are broadcast live, as this meeting is, and anyone is welcome to join in and listen in to the discussion that the board will have on any or all of those particular items. With that, I'll recognize the clerk for our public hearing number 2, please.
To allow a chiropractic office at 1801 Penfield Road, located in the Four Corners zoning district. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on March 25th, 2021, posted on the town website and town clerk bulletin board. 15 postcards were mailed.
Okay, thank you. And again, Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Horowitz. Appreciate it. As we look to bring the applicant here online to join us, I'll just remind them, not only the applicant, but ourselves, that we do have the materials that were submitted for this particular application at 1801 Penfield Road. The board has had a chance to take a look at that. However, we just ask that you give us an overview of what is being planned for that area. Hopefully we have David and or Jean with us that are able to do that. And Mr. Costello, I'll ask you if you might tee it up a little bit further.
Thank you. I did receive an application from Mr. Michael De Niro. He was interested in purchasing the property at 1801 Penfield Road, formerly known as the Langford Optician Office. He would like, I believe his son is actually going to install the Chiropractic and Wellness Center in that building, and I believe he's representing his son this evening. With that, Michael, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Why don't you give the board a background as to what you're proposing for the site?
Michael,
Sure.
welcome.
Thanks. My son runs a chiropractic office at this time on Mount Hope Avenue, and this would be a second location for him. It's going to be, can you see me?
We are unable to see you, sir.
Yeah, I'm hitting the start my video button, but it keeps blanking out. Sorry about that.
Nope, that's quite all right. We can hear you. We can hear you fine if that can work. And then Mr. Costello has information that we can bring up on the screen if necessary.
Okay. So this will be a chiropractic office and a other wellness type facility, massage, possibly acupuncture at some future date. But the main business would be chiropractic, and the startup will take place after the building is renovated. And I would suspect that we're looking at somewhere between 6 to 8 months before that happens. There will probably be, in the beginning, during the startup phase, 2 to 3 people working there. And then just depending on what the business cycle is like and the opportunity to attract more clients, there could be 6 to 8 people working at that location, but probably not all at the same time. There are 15 parking spaces, and there's also a 2-car garage on site. It looks like it's in reasonable condition. It needs a new roof. So I'll be replacing the roof on the garage. As far as the building itself, we will be putting in place an accessibility lift, and all of the doors and hallways will be ADA compliant. The bathroom will be a full bathroom, ADA compliant. I have almost 30 years experience in building custom homes that are totally accessible, and some of the smaller nuances that don't really get noticed, like the height of electric outlets and switches and that kind of thing, handles on the doors, it'll all fit into the ADA compliance. The other thing that I focus on is high efficiency. I am looking to bring the building beyond the current building code. I have experience in building net zero / passive homes, and we will be insulating the building and putting in energy recovery ventilation system to bring in filtered air, and that pretty much encapsulates what my thoughts are for the property.
Okay. So if I can just summarize, you're looking to do this work and not open for roughly 6 months plus. You will be looking to have at max maybe 6 to 8 employees. And I think what's important, Michael, that the board will be interested in will be, how many days a week, general hours of operation, some of those types of information for the particular operation.
I can address that. Currently, the other office is open from 8 in the morning, Monday through Friday. And then the hours are a little bit flexible. Sometimes the chiropractors will stay later to accommodate people who are making appointments after work. There is a limited hour Saturday operation, probably somewhere in the range of like 9 to 1 or 2. The chiropractors, including my son, do have their phone number given out, and if someone's in dire need, on a rare occasion, they might treat someone on a Sunday or outside the hours that I've just identified.
Okay. And from a signage standpoint, Michael, what are you and your son thinking about signage at that location?
There's a sign at the street side of the property, and we were going to just use the same frame that's there now. What looks like has been taken down is a sign on the rear of the property, and it would just be a smaller sign just to identify the parking access off that road. And I don't know the name of it yet, but the road that runs behind the property.
Okay, all right. Board questions for the applicant?
I think you've done a good job, Tony, asking the questions that are pertinent to the application. So I'm good.
All right, thank you. Other questions or any additional information that you would like from the applicant? Okay.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes, go ahead.
may I ask a question? Thanks. I believe the applicant said 6 to 8 months before the.
So Deb, you're cutting in and out, Debbie. So we're only catching part of your ask.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Did you hear me now?
We
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Just wanted to clarify. He said the applicant said 6 to 8 months before he thought he was planning on opening
That's correct.
his business.
That's correct.
Okay. So from now, so you're looking to open looking at the fall,
Yeah.
potentially,
fall.
correct?
Correct. If anything changes, I would let.
Okay, thank you.
I would let everyone know if something changes, but that's pretty much the timeline that we've identified.
Okay. Board,
Thank you.
other questions of the applicant? I would recognize Mr. Costello. Any additional information that you believe should be added to the record that we have not already discussed or have already received from the applicant?
Nothing regarding the applicant, but just to make the board aware of the fact that this site actually was the home of Langford Optician for many, many years. In addition to that, there were also a couple of other smaller businesses, which you've actually streamlined, relocated in the Four Corners. So at one time, to the best of my knowledge, there were at least 3 businesses operating at that site, and now we're down to 1.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Costello. Before I go back to the applicant, I'll ask our clerk, have you received any information via email regarding this particular application?
I have not for this application.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll go back to the applicant. Michael, is there any additional information that you would like to add to the record that you believe is pertinent to this particular application?
Not at this time.
All right. So, Michael, let me just again briefly highlight next steps as I wait to see if any calls come in or there's any emails that come in to the computer in front of me. The next opportunity that the board will have to discuss this matter will be next Wednesday, Wednesday the 14th at 7 p.m. It'll be the same similar format. You have the opportunity to tune in and watch live and listen to the conversation that the board has on this matter. If there's anything that comes up, Mr. Costello will be your contact. So if you have anything you wish to share, or if he has anything, he will be your point of contact.
Great, thank you.
All right. And I'll do one last check. I do not see any calls or emails for this particular application. Therefore, I will declare this hearing closed. Michael, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to chatting with you next week.
Great, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, be well, be safe. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our third public hearing this evening.
To allow a grill and service area and live music in the outdoor dining area of the South Bay Bar and Grill at 1300 Empire Boulevard, located in the LaSalle's Landing zoning district. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on March 25th, 2021, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. 6 postcards were mailed.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Horwitz, is this matter properly before the board this evening?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Horwitz. All right, I will next recognize Mr. Costello for an introduction before we bring in the applicants.
Thank you. A couple of years ago, the board granted a conditional use permit to allow a restaurant called South Bay Bar and Grill at, I believe it's 1300 Empire Boulevard. At that time, the applicants, Mark DeSantis and Michelle Russo, had requested the board to grant them approval to have outdoor music. The board made them aware of the fact that they generally do not do that the first time out, that they gave them a period of time of 1 year to determine whether or not it was going to be a successful situation to be able to have music. They did wait that year, and then, of course, COVID came in, so they waited another year. And now they're back asking for outdoor music and also for the installation of an outdoor grill and service area to the rear of the building to provide service to the people at the restaurant and the outdoor dining area. And with that, I'll let Mark give more details about what he's proposing for the site.
Okay, great, thank you. Mark and Michelle, are you with us? Mark and Michelle? Do you happen to be on mute?
They were here earlier. There they are.
Mark, Michelle, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Mr. Supervisor, maybe you could give them the live phone number so they can call in. We can connect their audio that way.
Okay, that would be great. Mark, Michelle, if you can hear us, if you would dial in at 340-8771. That's 340-8771. We'll give you a moment to do that so that we can connect with you and give an overview of this project. Mark, Michelle?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome.
Welcome.
All right, we just we just did an overview. Mr. Costello just gave the board a brief overview, and we'd ask that you would just update us as to your plans that you're asking for at this location. Great. All right. Mark, Michelle, could you do us a favor? Could you mute your computer? And that'll avoid any feedback.
Yeah, we got it now. Much
Okay,
better.
great. All right. So that helps with our feedback. We've got a picture of the property up. Mr. Costello
Yep.
has given us a high-level general overview, and the floor is yours to give the board an update as to what your interest is, not only for the music, but also for the outdoor grilling area.
Yeah, the outdoor grilling area would be right next to the patio deck to the left behind the building, right a little bit over, a little farther over.
This way?
No, the other way.
Oh, this way?
Towards right there.
Okay.
And that would be a pretty much a basic building that would just have a corrugated roof made out of galvanized with a tabletop for servicing and grilling inside due to weather conditions. So we'll have a grilling station in there for barbecues and chicken and steakouts and being able to cook outside in the summer when it's beautiful out for the families.
Mark, can you give the dimensions of that building, please?
Hold on one second. It's going to be, if you actually can look at the camera, can you see this? That drawing?
Yes.
Okay, the dimensions on that are going to be 13 feet wide by 10 feet wide. Then we're going to have the outside edge going 9 feet high with a little bit of an overhang of the corrugation, again, so they could get the food and stuff without getting wet, and 12 foot high on the other side with a pitch of a 4-pitch roof. And then there'll be a countertop in there at 48 inches. Did you get that?
We did, Mark. Just
Thank you.
Yep, giving you the opportunity to kind of give us that overview. Thank you.
No problem.
So we generally know the weather in Rochester and Monroe County, but could you give us a sense of what your planned timeline is for when you might open that up in the spring and then close that down in the fall?
Well, we're looking to open it up, as soon as possible going forward, and then by when weather hits in the fall, probably shut it down at the end of November.
Okay,
Basically, just for the summer.
got it. And then, Mark, could you give us an overview about the plans for outdoor music, live music, piped in, some combination thereof?
Yeah, a little combination thereof. Maybe a small band. We're looking to do like Friday and Saturday nights from 7 to 11 and Sunday from 4 to 9. It's a little entertainment for people out on the deck.
So it would just be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yeah, unless we had a special event, like a party or something.
And the latest that would go on in the evening is, again, what time? I know 9 o'clock on Sunday, but 11 o'clock, I think I heard you say, on Friday, Saturday?
Friday and Saturday, yeah, basically from 7 to 11.
And then Sunday, 4 to 9?
Correct. We close early on Sunday because we're really not a bar. We're more of a restaurant. So we don't actually even stay open that late except for Friday and Saturday. We're usually closed by 10 o'clock either way.
Got it. Understand. Okay. So I think as we spoke when you first came into this board for discussion about the restaurant, and unfortunately all of us had to weather the pandemic. So hopefully you have been holding your own. But one of the things that we talked about, I think Mr. Costello highlighted, is that we've had some experiences of music on the bay. The music tends to vibrate around the bay, off the water, and into surrounding neighborhoods up above. And so how do we make sure that we're not creating any problems to neighborhoods with the music?
Well, one of the big advantages we have is across the street is that Monster Hill, which will not allow that music to go any further. I don't see how it could.
Well, I will
You
tell.
have that big hill behind us that goes way high.
Yep, I know, I understand, and I will tell you that as a member of the town board at the time, I was up in that neighborhood many times with colleagues because the music from the old Buccaneer, and then it was a couple of other items, essentially where the new building for the Daniellis is going in, and the music was getting up into those homes and up into those hills and creating major
Well, it would
problems.
because there's a gully there that would suck it right up in there.
So
It's a valley, big valley, where you go where K2 is. That music would roll right up in.
okay, so my question is how do we make sure that we're not creating problems with neighbors in that area?
That's not our intent at all. I mean, what is your suggestion?
Well, part of the reason we have these public hearings is we give you the opportunity to tell us what your plans are to make sure that you're not an attractive nuisance to those residents. So we're open for any thoughts or ideas that you might have.
Well, again, we're going to be having any of the bands would be out on the corner of the dock and facing towards the building, which again would be facing towards that big hill, which from my experience with music, it isn't going anywhere with that hill. Where you have a big differential next door where you had a valley with the music pointed right at it, and it's going to echo through that valley. As I say, I think we're very fortunate we have this big hill across the street to be like a soundproofing.
Okay. And if there were problems, and we had to have some discussions, what are you prepared to do to mitigate those?
Whatever's necessary.
Including.
We're not here to cause problems. We're just here to have a nice, fun environment.
Okay. So mitigation could be up to and including shutting music down?
If so need be, yep.
Okay. All right. All right. Hang tight here. Board questions for the applicant that we already have not put on the table.
Well, Tony, I think one of the questions about the music, the sound of it is, acoustic versus amplified. That was one of the things we've said every time we've talked about music at a restaurant, that we are not supportive generally on amplified music because that carries more. Acoustic music doesn't. And I think it's interesting what the applicant said, and I never thought about that the hill is a barrier, because you and I are used to South. Back in the day when the Bounty had the music, and my parents lived up on Parkview Drive, and their backyard, you could hear it so loud, it was like it was in your front yard. I mean, it was amazing how it would carry. It may make a lot of difference with the hill. I'm not sure. I haven't thought of that, but I'd be interested in the applicant. How about non-amplified music? Would you agree to that?
That wouldn't really work for us down here for what we're looking at, for the venue we're looking to do. I mean, again, when you're talking about the old days, I was at the Bounty back in the day when they used to jam the big bands and crank them up so high you couldn't even hear yourself talk to somebody next to you. And again, with that valley, it would suck right up in there. I've been up there and I've heard it myself. But you also, you have K2 over there that has it also. I believe you gave them an entertainment thing. And we're planning on basically doing the same thing. Have you been having problems with K2?
At this point, we have not. We had the same we had the same line of questioning for them when they came in and made the proposal. Again, this board has to, take a look and attempt to balance making businesses successful, but also making sure that we're not creating problems to the neighbors in the neighborhoods.
Fully understandable. I live up on the top of the hill on Orchard Park, so I'm with you. My neighbors, we're right there, so.
Got it. Okay.
Tony, my question is more towards Jim Costello and just trying to maintain a level of consistency with all the different, all the different restaurants and grills that are down that are looking for some level of outdoor music of some type that we're just not letting one restaurant do this, letting another restaurant do that. I'm just throwing it out there, just food for thought on maintaining a level of consistency so everybody's being treated the same and fairly on a level playing field.
Andy, this would be the second restaurant in that area that would currently have outdoor music, the first one being the K2, and I know that you vetted that process out with K2 when they came in, and they had to wait a year or so before they were able to have music.
Yep.
I think you're being consistent with the kinds of things that you're asking. Tony's been asking about, levels of noise and that kind of thing coming from the site. I think it depends primarily on, the type of bands that are coming in. If there's just a couple of guys coming in or a couple of ladies coming in, or you have a lower key type element there versus just having a rock concert every night, it's a little different. I know that we'll be holding a public hearing fairly soon for the former Murphy's Law site. Those people indicated to me that they do not want to have outdoor music at this time. So these would be the only two that would have it, as far as I know.
All right, so would the same type of approval for the same type of music be consistent with this applicant that's the same with K2?
Yes, and I've shared that with Mark and Renee, or Michelle. They know that there's been concern for that area down there, and as he noted, he does live in the neighborhood, so he was familiar with the Bounty Harbor's Bayfest days. So I think the intent would be possibly to have a couple nights to see what kind of music is happening, to see if there really isn't going to be any impact, and get a feeling for what's going on there, as you did with K2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine moving forward with this. I just want to make sure that everybody's on a level playing field and everybody's adhering to the same, I don't want to use the word restriction, but the same type
Standards.
of capabilities.
Okay.
Again, we're not going to be a big venue because we're not a big place anyways. We're just
Right.
a little entertainment for the people down by the water. It's always very nice to have a little entertainment.
Yep.
Okay. Board, other questions for the applicant? Okay. Mr. Costello, any additional information that you believe should be added to the record that we haven't already discussed this evening?
No, other than the fact that I would like to get a copy of the proposed shed area that they're looking at, so the board can have a look at that prior to its next meeting.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm just looking, Michael, Michelle, give me a moment here. I'm just doing a double check on my call-ins and emails. I'm not seeing anything. I'll ask Michael, Michelle, any additional input that you would like to have added to the record this evening that we haven't already discussed?
I think we're pretty good. As I say, all we've been doing is we've come down here like we did next door in here. We're just trying to make this a nice, beautiful place for family fun and entertainment. And again, with a little entertainment would be very nice.
Okay, got it. All right, the next opportunity to discuss this matter will be next Wednesday, April 14th. You're welcome to join in and follow that discussion with the board.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. I'll declare this public hearing closed, and I'll just ask, thank you for joining us, Mark and Michelle, and please be well and be safe.
Thank you, board members. We really appreciate all your time and consideration. Have a great night.
Take care. Have a good night. All right, we will move on to our fourth public hearing this evening, please.
To allow the conversion of the Daisy Flower Mill from a banquet and catering facility to a restaurant and dog care facility at 1880 Blossom Road, located in the R120 zoning district. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on March 25th, 2021, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. 9 postcards were mailed.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you, Mr. Horowitz. I'll next recognize Mr. Costello for a brief update overview. This is not new to the discussion. We did have an opportunity to have a general discussion at a work session. And with that, Mr. Costello, if you give us an update.
Thank you. After that work session meeting, we also had Wendy and Valerie meet with the Historic Preservation Board informally to give them an idea of what they'd like to do with the site, which is a national landmark. They had a good meeting with the board, and then subsequently, because of our ordinance requirements that require the Historic Preservation Board to give a recommendation to the town board as part of the special permit process, they met with them recently, and the board did send a memo to the town board, which I believe is part of your packet. Wendy, I apologize because I was having problems scanning things this week with our scanner being down, but you will see that letter or that memo that the board did generate. I know you were present when they were writing it, so it won't be a surprise to you as to what's in the content. So we'll go to that, but I'll let Wendy give a presentation as to what she'd like to do.
Okay, Wendy,
Okay.
Valerie, welcome.
Thank you. So just who we are, I'm Wendy, this is my wife Valerie. I'll be handling operations and marketing for this venture, and Valerie is an actuary by trade, so she'll be handling all things financial. What we intend to do with the Daisy Flower Mill is convert the near 4,500 square foot ballroom into a state-of-the-art indoor off-leash dog park with doggy daycare and overnight boarding indoors. And then on the other side of the mill where the restaurant and bar currently is, we want to turn that into a full restaurant and full bar area with games, with darts and pool and karaoke nights, and just a very lively, fun family restaurant. So you can leave your dogs in the dog park, and attendants, we're calling them referees, will look after your dog, clean up after your dog. When we say state of the art, the substrate, the floor actually will be raised up and self-flushing so that you have AstroTurf on top of that. So it will look beautiful. It'll be really comfortable for the dogs, and it'll be easy to maintain for cleanliness and bacteria and things like that. For a long period of time. We'll also have, as you put up on the screen, chill out rooms in there. So if you have any unruly dogs that need to be put in the penalty box, so to speak, for a short time, that will also be a little boarding area for the dogs for overnight stayers. But like I was saying, you drop off your dog and you check them in, and then we take care of the dog for you while you and your friends go have lunch or dinner or brunch and beers or watch the game, but you no longer have to leave your four-legged friends at home anymore. So we'd also like to utilize the back deck off of what is now the ballroom. There are big double doors that would go out to the deck, and we'd like to put Adirondack chairs along the Irondequoit Creek for folks to sit out there, enjoy a glass of wine while their dog is playing in the indoor dog park. What else?
Hours, he's on hours there, so.
So we do want to be closed on Mondays, completely closed on Monday. Well, not completely, we take that back. We want to do training, obedience training on Monday evenings. So we'd be closed for the restaurant and bar, but just have obedience training classes, small classes on Monday evenings. And then we'd be open Tuesday through Thursday, all day long for doggy daycare. And the bar, grill, and dog park opens at noon till 10 p.m. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, or on Fridays, all day doggy daycare, bar and grill opens at 12 p.m., closes at 12 a.m. And then on Saturdays, the bar, the grill, and the dog park are open from 10:30 a.m. till 12 a.m. Saturday night. And then Sundays will be open for brunch, the bar, the grill, and the dog park from 10:30 to 4.
Okay.
Okay.
So, as I had mentioned, we did have a conversation with Wendy and Valerie now a month and a half or more ago, and they have since gone through to flush this out in a little bit more detail, up to and including visiting the Historic Preservation Board, as Mr. Costello has indicated, and I'll just make note that, you know, the Historic Preservation Board has indicated that the applicants have invited the board and other interested town agencies to visit the site actually tomorrow at 10 a.m., and I'm assuming that is still on?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, with that, board, I'll open it up for any questions, comments that you might have for Wendy and Valerie.
Wendy, are you planning on doing boarding, overnight boarding, or is it just going to be restaurant atmosphere? Come in, eat, let the dogs play, grab your dog, leave.
We are going to offer overnight boarding. Limited. Okay. We're not going to be a large, like one of the larger facilities with, I think we're going to max out at maybe 10 to 12 dogs per night. But we wanted to add that as another revenue source. Just in case we ever have to be at 50% or 40% capacity again due to, you know, God forbid, a pandemic. But so that's on the business plan, but not anything large.
Okay.
So, Wendy, Valerie, as you can imagine, you know, questions come up about things like noise to neighbors, whether it be from inside out or if the dogs are outside. What is your thoughts? What are your plans on how you handle that and not have impact to the neighborhood?
We have talked to, and Cameron is on the call. He's our contractor with Loyal 9 Construction. We've talked about putting in acoustic panels inside the dog park to help absorb some of the noise. Obviously, it's inside, the doors are closed, the dogs are inside, but it's the same as if your dog is barking inside the house. Perhaps your neighbor could hear that dog. Multiply that times, 15 dogs. We think that the acoustic panels could really help with that, though. And then again, the dogs will be inside, not outside.
Also, too, we have to consider that the space is shared between the internal dog park and the bar restaurant area. So, although we do consider the neighbors and local residents, we also have to make sure the business functions well too, right? First and foremost. So it's also important for us to control noise pollution inside the space for the potential customer or client coming in the bar or restaurant area. If they can't, talk to their friend or family over a beer because the dog's so loud, we haven't really done our job, and then the business is not going to be successful in that way too. So we do consider the residents, but we also have to first and foremost consider the client. So we hope that the solution that we develop over a period of time, it hasn't been fully developed now, will solve as a fail-safe for the residents nearby, and additionally the clients, especially in the bar restaurant.
Is that Cameron?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Cameron, for the record, could you give us your full name and the spelling of your last name, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's my full name is Cameron Saformo. Last name is spelled S as in Sam, F as in Frank, O-R-M-O. Cameron Saformo.
Thank you, sir. I just want to make sure our town clerk has the information, and she'd be looking for that either from you later tonight or from me early tomorrow morning. So want to make sure we have that on the record. So thank you for that. All right. Board, further questions for the applicants, if you will, please.
It's a lot of work what you're, I just wanted to ask, it's a lot of work what you're doing. When would you envision opening if you got approval?
We just signed the contract a day or two ago, so we're looking at least, I don't know, a minimum of 90 days before we could start construction, and then another 90 days of construction. So probably not for 6 or 7 months.
Okay, thank you.
We had wanted to do this a year ago, but COVID said no to that.
COVID unfortunately said no to a lot of things, as we all know. So if I may ask, Wendy, Valerie, at any given time, what's the maximum number of dogs that you would have at site or envision having on site?
We're not completely sure yet because we're not totally sure with the construction on how exactly the is going to be. But our guess is about 30 to 40 dogs would be our absolute max.
Yeah.
And also some of that depends on the final design of the restaurant bar area and how it's going to be viewed in terms of, in the eyes of the fire marshal in the town. So some of it's dictated by the actual occupancy of potential restaurant doors, stuff like that, which is ultimately dictated by space and fire code and exits and stuff like that. So the occupancy or the capacity of dogs potentially is probably hinged slightly on occupancy awarded at some point during the design phase.
Got it. Okay. And then dogs potentially coming on site would be licensed. They'd have all the proper shots and everything like that before they'd be allowed to be on premises?
Yeah, we require every dog to be a member of the dog park, so they'll pay a membership fee. And with that membership comes, we take a picture of the dog to keep on file. We take pictures of their vaccination records to keep on file. So we'll be, aware of everything about their dogs, and they can't pay for one dog and bring in some random dog. They'll have a little membership with a picture, barcode, QR code type of thing.
Got it.
And excuse me, Wendy, how many dogs, and what would the time frame be? How many dogs would actually be in the outdoor play area?
Well, we really don't have that fleshed out, and we may be taking the outdoor dog run off the table completely. I'm just not sure. We may have to come back to the board in like a phase 2 of this to talk about that, maybe a year later. We had thought, just maybe letting out, like splitting the dog park where we have the small dog park and the large dog park, and letting out all of the small dogs into the outdoor area in August when it's gorgeous for an hour to enjoy it while their folks are out there drinking and doing their thing, playing cornhole. But we're just not 100% sure, without having seen how crowded it's going to be and how popular it's going to be, if that's feasible. So for now, no dogs outside.
Okay. Board, any other questions? The town clerk does have 2 or 3 emails that did come in. This might be a good place to just break for a moment, give her an opportunity to read those emails, and then we can circle back with any additional questions, comments, and answers. So with that, why don't we enter those into the record?
Okay. So I have, my first email is from Mark and Susan Leader. They live on Blossom Road. They have resided near the Daisy Flour Mill for 10 years. Their concern is with the proposed dog care facility. They have no problem with the restaurant. And they're concerned about noise from barking dogs, as well as increased level of vehicle traffic. All these emails, by the way, will be made part of the project file. So that's the first one. The second one is from Patricia Maurer and Bill Witt. They're from Thomas Cove Road. their correspondence, they brought up points of concern for this proposal. Number one, they state they have no issue with the restaurant concept, as this has been a pre-existing business model there since 1974. But they do have serious concerns about the dog daycare facility. The first thing is that traffic ingress and egress are problematic, as we have witnessed a number of accidents there since 1973. They are also concerned that this is a residential neighborhood and this will be a noise nuisance to the neighborhood. It exasperates the noises of loud music we already hear from the park, the gunfire we hear from the Genesee Conservation Club, and the potential of the noise from music at the new RIT facility and now a new restaurant at Daisy Flour Mill. They also mentioned they're concerned for the negative environmental impact of the location next to Irondequoit Creek, which frequently floods in that area. There is already a problem with this in the Ellison Park Dog Park. When flooding happens, feces and urine are going to flow into the creek, and there is no way to avoid this. Okay. I also have one from a Chris Lyons. That's on Blossom Road. Also, along with Ann, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, Essie. They write, we recently received a postcard about the planning board meeting tonight, and of course this is the town board. Felt compelled to write to express concerns about the proposed dog daycare facility. This is a residential neighborhood and we are very close to the location. We are at 1849 Blossom Road. I don't know if you've ever been near a dog daycare facility, but it is relentless and unabated barking and howling all day long, every day. This will be an enormous disruption and compromise to our quality of life here in Penfield. We are already having to listen to the firearms from 9 a.m. until sundown, and often well after sundown every single day from the Genesee Conservation League. Please think about the effects of this on the households in the neighborhood and deny this special permit. We look forward to attending the meeting this evening. And then I have one other one that actually came into Jim Costello, and that states, while there is historic precedent for the operation of a restaurant at the Daisy Flour Mill site, the addition of doggy daycare seems wildly inappropriate in a residential zoned neighborhood. The presence of a dog park would seem enough in such a short stretch of Blossom Road. Further, please consider sightline safety of ingress-egress on a sharp curve at the bottom of the steep hill. And that's from Lorna Dawson.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. I'll open it back up to the applicants, Wendy, Valerie. Based on what Amy just shared, do you have any thoughts, comments that you would like to add to the record?
I mean, as far as traffic goes, I don't think, adding the doggy daycare and dog park is going to create any more traffic than our busy restaurant will. So if they're against the dog park, but not against the restaurant for traffic reasons, I don't quite know how to rebut that, because there will be traffic, because we'll be bringing business to Penfield for sure. As far as the dog barking goes, as we said, we intend to make it a good dining experience for everyone. So we are looking at acoustic panels on the ceiling and on the walls to absorb as much of that noise as possible, because not only do we not want it to disturb the neighbors, we don't want it to disturb our diners. We want this to be a really unique experience where people are, we've been researching for years now, wanting to take their dogs out to bars and to dinner with them. And this would be a very unique way to do that. So I'm not sure.
And with not allowing dogs outdoors, I don't see there being an issue with feces running into Irondequoit Creek.
Right.
It will also be staffed. So if at some point we do allow dogs outdoors, which may not be in the first phase, there will be attendants in that space to clean that up. It's not up to the dog owner to do it. We have staff to clean that up and make sure that it's clean and staying,
At all
staying
times.
nice at all times.
Yeah. It's
Um,
not like a county dog park where the owners are there, and they have to be responsible for their dogs. We will have paid attendants in the dog park, looking after them, giving them treats, playing with them, keeping it, immaculate at all times to keep the dogs safe.
Wendy and Val, it's Mike Heacock with Loyal 9. We've done fairly extensive research in glass.
Can't hear you, Mike.
So
There
Mike,
you are.
hold on.
There, is that better?
Yeah, that is
Okay.
better. Mike, before you go on, could you give us your full name, please, and
Yes.
relationship to this application?
Sure, it's Michael Heacock, Heacock, Loyal 9 Development, and we are the general contractor.
Thank you, Mike. Go ahead, please.
So I just wanted to stress about any issues. The canine grass is a special blend of, or a special AstroTurf. All of the indoor will be obviously drained into the sewer system. And ultimately, if there is a phase to go outdoors, we intended to and plan to use the same canine grass, and it will be maintained in a similar fashion. The drainage may or may not need to go into the same sewer system if it's outdoors, but certainly on an indoor case, that's going to be, that's a mandate.
Okay, thank you.
And then you were going to say something about, oh no, never mind, go ahead. Never mind.
Okay, I've got one email that has come in from Gary Foxluger at 1871 Blossom Road. The question is, what is the seating capacity of the restaurant? What type of food will be served? And concerns about outside dog play area. So,
No outside dog play area.
All indoor.
All
dog
indoor.
park.
Yeah.
okay.
We don't know the seating capacity yet. I would have to, try and find out what gatherings had as a seating capacity. We're, not going to try to bust past that. And then as far as the food goes, it's a grill. It's not going to be a fancy restaurant. It's just going to be a family grill. We'll have everything from wings to our version of a garbage plate to, I'm from Texas, so I would like to bring some Texas things, a couple of Tex-Mex things, some chicken fried steaks, but then also some things that I know Rochesterians like. But very fast casual.
Okay. So we talked about the capacity, we talked about the type of food, and then, again, in this particular phase, you're not looking to do the outside dog play area at this point. That's a potential phase 2 or another phase.
Yeah.
Okay. As with the previous public hearing that we had, the question of music always comes up in and around restaurants. And what, if any, plans have you thought about for music in this location?
We have talked about doing karaoke nights, and then also small, what do you call it? Like small music,
I would say acoustic.
like an acoustic 2 to 3 person acoustic band, but not a big band amplified kind of thing, and not outside. It would be inside in the bar. Kind of like, I don't know if you know the restaurant, there's like a little nook just off of the bar on the other side of the wall. We want to take down that wall so you could see it from the bar. That would be kind of the staging area. And from there, you can see the creek just outside. If that makes sense. It's hard to use your hands and like describe it.
Okay. So all the music inside and acoustic and not amplified.
Yeah, we really want, what we want to happen out in that grassy area and on the decks is quiet, relaxing, melt into the beautiful Ellison Park. We want people sitting around in Adirondack chairs enjoying a glass of wine while their dogs are playing and while their kids are running around in a safe, garden landscape, beautiful area. We don't want it to be loud. We don't want it to be obtrusive out there. The only thing we want people to be able to see is little twinkle lights from Blossom Road.
Okay. Board, questions, further questions for the applicant?
Wendy, Councilman Moore, I think, pretty much asked the question that I was thinking of. When you referenced this boarding option, is that new to your plan? I don't really remember it from the first time we discussed this. Is it new, or was that part of it? Maybe I just missed it.
I think it's always been part of it, but I don't know if it's just always been kind of on the back burner.
Okay. And not having a dog and not having to ever have a dog boarded, I guess. So obviously you're not going to have staff there all night. I assume there'd be some point late in the evening, everybody goes home, dogs are in their area, and someone shows up first thing in the morning. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, and we'll have indoor and outdoor camera surveillance, so we'll be able to monitor everything, from our house. But we close so late that the dogs are not going to be alone and asleep for more than about 6 hours, really.
By the time we close and clean everything up and actually get ready to leave the building.
And they get a last check. So.
Okay. And obviously the unknown is if, dogs barking all night long, right? I mean, you would possibly know that from your remote location. You'd be able to identify that.
Yeah, and go and deal with it right away.
Yeah, because we don't know, right, what the building's going to be capable of just yet as far as keeping that noise within the walls of the restaurant or the doggy area. So I guess I would turn my question more towards Mr. Costello. Jim, as we talked about the restaurant and the music, maybe being, considered a nuisance at some point and having to adapt to that, would barking dogs would fall into that same kind of a, situation where perhaps we'd have to come back to the applicant and address that and, maybe remove that feature? Is that allowable in town, code or?
Yes, when we issue conditional use permits or when the board issues conditional use permits, that's why they're conditionally permitted, because if there are conditions that are being, ignored or not dealt with, the board has the ability to have the applicants come back in a public setting to address those concerns for the public's sake. And we've had situations like that. We've had veterinarians in town over the years that have had overnight boarding. And when we issued those permits, we had to ensure that they were not going to become impacts to adjacent property owners, residential property owners particularly. So as a result, it's worked out fairly well, but we have had cases where we've had to bring people back in to talk about violation of conditions and try and get them back on the path, or look at the possibility of revoking their permits. So we've not had to do that, luckily, in the years I've been here, but we do have to bring them in periodically.
Okay, great, thank you.
And you mean to say revoke the permit for overnight boarding or for the entire dog park?
You'll be issued a permit for the entire operation.
I see.
But there'll be conditions associated with making sure that the dogs don't become a noise impact of adjacent property owners.
Right, okay.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Board, other questions for the applicants?
Yeah, Debbie, go ahead.
Andy.
All right. I was just going to say, to follow up on Councilman Ockaden's comment, and I think, Cameron kind of talked about it pretty well, but my concern is the noise element of it. And I really hope and I have all levels of confidence that Wendy and Valerie are, taking a hard look at those mitigation efforts internally in the building to try to prevent the noise from being heard outside the building past a certain distance. I agree. I forget who it was. I think it was Cameron that said it, because I was thinking the same thing about, if I brought my dog there and I was eating with my son or my wife or my daughter, And, you know, there were a couple dogs that were just incessantly barking, you know, kind of that obnoxious, loud bark that goes on. After a while, you're just like, I can't take it any longer. And I'm sure I wouldn't be the only one doing that. You know, and it just becomes a unattractive environment at that point. And so I'm glad to hear that you're taking a look at those noise mitigation efforts. I guess I would strongly encourage you to max that capability out if this continues to move forward, and do everything you can to really, you know, control that level of noise, both internally with people that may be trying to watch a football game and are getting distracted by barking dogs, or you know, with respect to the neighbors around. Certainly, you know, they don't want to hear barking dogs, you know, through the night or through the day. And so I think that becomes a very critical element of the overall success of this initiative. And I'm glad to hear that you're taking a look at that. I just would strongly encourage you to you know, maximize those efforts and start off on a good note potentially, versus issues arising and, you know, we have to address them down the road, which is something nobody wants to do, and we should try to avoid that if we can. So
Yeah.
anyways, I just thinking out loud, just wanted to kind of let everybody know where I was on that. You know, I do have the concern about the noise moving forward. So thank you.
Yeah, we know it is a really unusual and unique concept. We've visited some concepts similar to this around the US, and they're all outside. They're not in locations near Canada where the weather is a little rough sometimes. They're in places like Texas and Colorado. Well, Colorado's kind of cold too, but where it's primarily all outdoors with a taco stand and you get your beers. And we just wanted to bring, you know, a concept like this to Rochester where the weather isn't great, you know, 11 months of the year. So yes, we are definitely trying to find all kinds of ways to mitigate noise, keep it as clean and sanitary as possible. Also, we're looking at the way the entrances and exits are, one-way onlys, so that no dogs are ever crossing a path trying to get in where they're exiting. We're trying to look at, you know, every single thing that would make a human uncomfortable, because we know dogs are not uncomfortable with, you know, being crowded or, you know, someone barking in their face or sniffing their butt. We really want the people who are paying the check to be really comfortable.
Okay, I think Councilperson Draw.
I think thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I was just going to mention again about the noise. I think it was answered nicely by both Councilman Ackett and Moore. So I think that I'm confident that Wendy and Valerie will make sure that they do their due diligence on the noise issue of the dogs, and I wish them luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Board, last call for any further questions on the town board's end. Okay, I'll recognize Mr. Costello for anything that he believes should be added to the record that we haven't discussed either back in January or this evening.
Thank you. Wendy and Valerie, could you just briefly discuss a little bit about some of the exterior modifications you're proposing to make to the building?
We would like to paint the entire building top to bottom with white with black trim. We believe that to be its original color. We're not positive, but the research I've done at the Penfield Library, the pictures are in black and white, so I suppose it could be gray, but it looks like it used to be white. So we really just want to take it back. We want to honor the history of the building and honor the history of it being a flour mill by cleaning all of the equipment, but we want to, you know, just get it as clean and modern and beautiful as we can. The sign would also, that's on the Blossom Road, would also, you know, be changed and be a black and white sign. Our colors are all black and white with a splash of orange and green. And we want to refurbish the decks because it looks like they need a little bit of work. We want to put the Adirondack chairs outside along the creek to enjoy the creek and the nature out there. And we want to put some cornhole games out there. I'd also like to build a small kitchen garden. It will mostly be for aesthetics to be, enjoyed and looked at. I don't think we could call it a real kitchen garden. I don't know that we could grow enough for the kitchen and to support the kitchen, but that's all I can think of. Oh, and perhaps a small outbuilding for lawnmower and snow blower.
Maintenance equipment.
Maintenance equipment, yeah.
All right, very good. Mr. Costello, anything additional to add?
No, I'm going to go to the walk tomorrow just to get more information. Hopefully I can bring that back to the board for next Wednesday night.
Great, excellent, thank you. All right, I'll check my list here. I'm not seeing any phone calls. Oh, okay, then I'm hearing from our team downstairs that there is a call, and please go ahead.
Tony, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who is this, please?
Gary Foxluger, Tony. How are you?
Gary, how are you? Thank you very much. So, Gary, go ahead if you would, please.
Yeah, I'm still here, Tony. Just a couple of comments. I didn't catch the seating capacity or the type of food that they'll be serving.
So I'll do just a summary. So if I misspeak, I'll ask the applicants to make sure they correct me. As it relates to the food is, family style grilling. So chicken wings, burgers, some Tex-Mex type of, and some barbecue dishes that they would be looking to do. Be very family friendly, not looking to do a formal restaurant per se, but more family friendly with the grilling aspect. And then the seating capacity is an outstanding question that we do have that they're going to be looking into and working with their contractor as well as the town, the fire marshal, to do some work in that area. So at this point, we can get what the seating capacity was for the original Daisy Flower Mill restaurant, not the banquet facility, but the restaurant. And then from there, there'll also have to be some review about what's being planned. So that's an outstanding item that we need some information on. So I'll just ask the applicants, did I represent your comments adequately?
Yes, spot on.
Okay.
Okay, Tony, a couple more quick questions.
Absolutely. We'll take as
Are
many.
they going to use all 3 floors for dining? The basement, the first floor, and the second floor?
Okay.
And she also mentioned she's removing a nook between the bar. Are the 2 silos going to remain intact, and how will they be utilizing them?
So
Yeah,
Wendy
we're
and
gonna keep
Valerie?
intact. Yeah, we're
When-
going to keep all of the equipment intact. We're just going to polish it up so that it goes, that it looks nice in a restaurant. Like I said, we really do want to honor the history of the flour mill and keep that aesthetic and that ambiance that's there. We want to use all 3 floors for gathering, but the basement we're looking at in like a phase 2, doing something like a wine bar with the fireplace down there. So it will be very light bites and charcuterie boards down there. But on the main floor and then upstairs would be your bar and grill.
And the bins, I think, is what he's talking about. Right?
Oh, the bin rooms. The bin rooms are going to be for dart tournaments.
So what's
We are hopeful to put in like dart boards and or like a shuffleboard in the bin rooms and do some pretty cool game rooms in there.
Gary, did you get all of that?
No, not really, because I had to turn my mic off. But I got the gist of what she's saying. I still would like to know what she's removing when she states the nook, and what are they going to do with the 2 silos that are there?
So the nook that is being referred to is a small interior partition wall that was built probably sometime when the building became a restaurant bar area. The wall that would be removed is a non-historical part of the building as we understand it. Obviously, more research needs to be done in order to determine if that is the case. But the products utilized to construct the wall date are way newer in the sense of chronological order than they would be historic. So we assume that wall section that would like to be removed is a small section, about 8 foot tall by 10 foot wide. And that would open up to the bar area to more open space, more seating. The bins themselves that you're describing, we're hoping to hopefully use those as independent dart rooms, game rooms. So essentially the same aesthetic, structure, design. There's absolutely really no change whatsoever to the room other than the use being something more practical, like a dart room.
Okay, Cameron, I understand what you said. All right, a couple of questions for Wendy. The enclosed, will the outside play area be enclosed? And how do you intend to enclose it? With a chain link fence, a picket fence?
We're not going to have an outdoor play area for the dogs. We've taken that off the table.
Very good.
By popular demand.
And then the only other thing, Mike Costello, I'll meet you over there tomorrow.
You're welcome to attend. Look forward
Thank
to seeing you again.
All right, Gary, thank you. I appreciate the call-in and appreciate the emails.
Okay, Tony, thank you very much.
Be well, be safe.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll do, again, one more check. I'm not seeing any additional calls, and I'm not seeing any additional emails. I'll just ask Wendy, Valerie, would you like to make some wrap-up comments on this application?
The only thing that I would like to hopefully assure everyone on the call is that, I just want to echo Debbie's statement that we are going to do everything in our power financially to mitigate the noise. I understand that seems to be the largest sticking point for everyone, is a worry that there's going to be dogs barking, 24 hours a day. We're going to do every single thing we can financially in our power to mitigate that, because we want our diners we want people to want to come there and enjoy the bar and restaurant, not just the dog park. We can't make a living at that. So we have to make it as comfortable as possible if you're inside. And if it's comfortable and quiet inside in the restaurant, I wouldn't think you'd be able to hear anything across the parking lot at someone's house.
Okay. All right, seeing no further input, as I have indicated with the previous three public hearings this evening, the next opportunity that we'll have to discuss this matter will be next Wednesday, the 14th of April at our work session. You're welcome to join in and listen to that discussion. It sounds like we do have some members, not only of the Historic Preservation Board, but also of Town Operations, and at least one neighbor that is going to be joining in tomorrow for the site tour, the site walk. So we'll look forward to getting feedback from Mr. Costello and others on that. Okay, seeing no further input at this point, I'll declare this public hearing closed. Thank you, Wendy and Valerie, and everyone else that participated. We appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, be well and be safe. Thank you. Okay, we will continue on with our agenda. Our next item is communications and announcements. I'll recognize the town clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. It has come to my attention that there has been issues regarding accessible parking permits, also known in the past as our handicap hangers, for those who weren't sure what accessible parking is. To avoid loss, be sure to lock your car when parked in designated parking spaces. Also, remove your permit from your vehicle when leaving it to be serviced or when someone borrows your car. We've had a number of stolen accessible parking permits in the past year, and so this would be a way to make sure that doesn't happen. If you lose your permit or it becomes missing or stolen, you will be required to complete an affidavit, which you can do in my office to get a new parking permit. But most importantly, you should many people keep their handicap or their accessible parking permit hanging while they're driving. And you should never hang it on your rearview mirror while driving. It obstructs your view and it can make you vulnerable to targeting. So the town board, town staff, and I just want to keep everyone safe. If you have any questions, please call me at 340-8629.
Okay, thank you. I'll next recognize Councilperson Draw.
No announcements, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Ockenden?
No, sir, no announcements tonight.
All right, thank you. And Councilperson Moore?
All set, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And Councilperson Cole?
Also all set, thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to public participation. As we indicated at the beginning of the meeting, there are two opportunities. This is the first. If you have any questions for the town board, you may call in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org, and we'll get that email right up here on the computer. And as I'm pausing for that to see if we have any calls or emails come in, I'll just remind our residents now that the weather is getting a little bit nicer, and hopefully no more major snow in the forecast. Our crews from DPW are out repairing lawn and sod damage across the town, and give us the next week or two to get that taken care of. If within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, we haven't showed up at your property, please call in at our DPW at 340-8710, 340-8710, or log on and call up our friends from DPW with a short email, and we'll make sure that we get out to your property. All right, seeing no calls, seeing no emails at this time, we'll continue on with our agenda. I'll ask the board any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda. Okay, seeing none. We do have the minutes of March 3rd, 2021 before us, and I'll ask the board, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move those, Mr. Supervisor.
Second.
Been moved by Councilperson Draw, seconded by Councilperson Cole. I'll ask, is there any discussions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Great, thank you. I'll ask, since our last get-together, has the town board, town attorney, or town clerk received any petitions?
If not.
All right, thank you. That'll take us to resolution by function, and we'll begin with law and finance, please.
Authorization to attend the New York State Association of Local Government Records Officers School.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the New York State Association of Local Government Records Officers is a nonprofit organization that provides a network to all those responsible for record keeping and information management in local government. Whereas the association is dedicated to increasing awareness of the need of sound management in local government records and provides valuable classes to include the opportunity to exchange information and problems and solutions unique to each town. Whereas Town Clerk Amy Steckloff, as Town Record Management Officer, will have the opportunity to expand her knowledge and network with members of the association. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Clerk is hereby authorized to attend the 2021 New York Association of Local Government Records Officers School to be held from June 6th to June 9th. Funds to attend this event are included in the 2021 Town Clerk Conference budget line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Questions for the board? I'll ask my usual question. This year, two questions. Question one is that your office will be adequately covered while you're gone during that period of time?
Absolutely. We recently were finally able to fill a position in my office, so we are at full capacity and definitely have enough coverage.
Okay. And my question this year, unlike past years, is related to COVID, and everything is being done to keep everyone safe for this conference.
Yes, they've put out a number of items that have assured us that there will be physical distancing, masks are to be worn, and sanitization will be occurring during the school.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes. Acceptance of financial statements and independent auditors' reports for 2020.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town of Penfield engaged the services of Bonadio and Company to prepare financial statements and an independent auditor's report for fiscal year 2020. Whereas the town board has received said statements and reports and finds all information to be in order. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the financial statements as prepared by Bonadio, and a copy of said documents will be filed in the office of the town clerk and posted on the town's website. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion board.
Mr. Supervisor, real quick, I would just like to commend you and the town staff. The presentation was given to us from Bonadio, and it looks, again, that everything was in order per New York State requirements, and the financial condition of the town seems to be in excellent shape. And from my take in reading a lot of these kind of reports, everything was satisfactory according to Bonadio in their annual audit. It's been that way for years, and I think you deserve a lot of credit, both you and Barbara, town finance director, in making sure that there's good stewardship of town financial resources, ultimately the taxpayers' money of Penfield residents. So thank you for your commitment and dedication to strong fiscal management here in the town of Penfield.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Further discussions, comments? Okay, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement to allow a fence within a drainage easement at 45 Wheelock Road.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement with the residents and owners of the property at 45 Wheelock Road to permit a fence to encroach on a portion of a drainage easement to the town of Penfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion. Seeing no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Draw. Draw.
Aye.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement to allow a fence within a storm sewer easement at 51 Saldo Lane.
Moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign a license and hold harmless agreement with the residents and owners of the property at 51 Saldo Lane to permit a fence to encroach into a portion of a storm sewer easement to the town of Penfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Questions? I think it's important to note that, from time to time, we will have these particular resolutions come in for some encroachments, typically within a drainage easement. We have a number of drainage easements that crisscross the town, and from time to time, based on lot layout, location, that fence, or sometimes another item such as a shed might fall into a portion of that. The board vets those out and discusses those at a work session, and then make a determination to move forward. And in the event that we have to go in and do work, part of the hold harmless agreement says that the property owner is responsible for any of the removal and then replacement of that, not the town or the other taxpayers of the town. It would be the property owner to do that. And the board looks at these very closely, but also wants to make sure that being reasonable for residents as they're looking to use their property. With that, seeing no further discussion, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing to consider issuance of a conditional use permit to allow a restaurant with outdoor dining at 1400 Empire Boulevard, known as Brody's on the Bay.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board for the issuance of a conditional use permit to 250-5.9-B-1E of the code to allow restaurant and outdoor dining at 1400 Empire Boulevard. Now be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on May 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m. on said date to consider said application and to hear all persons interested in the question of a conditional use permit to allow a restaurant and outdoor dining at 1400 Empire Boulevard in the LaSalle's Landing Development District. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Further discussion?
We should just mention that that's the old Murphy's Law.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Linda. That is correct. Former Murphy's Law in the area along Empire Boulevard and in and around the area of where the marina is adjacent to that on the waterfront. Okay, seeing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Draw,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
LaFountain,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you. This brings us to old business. Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none. Is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none. This is the second opportunity to address the board on any matter. Again, you can do that by calling in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org. And I'll give just a moment as I check my computer here, make sure that we do not have anyone waiting. I'll just reiterate that there is a new website, a new and improved website that has kind of hit the airwaves today. And depending upon all of the behind-the-scenes work as it touches various servers. Some may get it a little bit sooner. They may already have it. They may have gotten it kind of first thing today, but by end of day tomorrow should have that. I would encourage our residents to take a look at that. A lot of very good information, a lot of hard work by the team led by Dave Renner, and equally important, all of our departments that went in to touch their information to make sure it was current and update. Like any new system that goes up, there will be a little bit of a bug here or a comma there. And so as those come up, we'll take a look at those and make sure that everything is working properly. But I do encourage you to take a look. There's a lot of wonderful information, a lot of freshness to the overall site, and I think a great resource not only for residents but anyone looking to get information from the town of Penfield. Seeing no further items to come in before the board, the April 7th, 2021 legislative session of the board will stand adjourned at 8:54 p.m. Thank you very much for everyone that participated and all of the applicants, the board members, and staff. Please be well and be safe. Have a great evening.